All right. Well, one more video story, and that's about Plex. Seems like we haven't talked about Plex much recently, but Plex was at CES and they did have some stuff to show off and talk about. And one of the things that they told Janko Rogers, who's one of the longtime reporters that you've probably heard about in the video and connected home space, is that they plan to start selling and renting movies and TV shows sometime this year. Now, let me say that again. Plex is going to try to sell you or rent you content from Plex inside Plex. Why? Revenue opportunities ultimately, but it reinforces this whole idea that they've been saying for years and years, is that they want to be the center. They want to be the place you go for all your stuff. I still don't think that's a good idea. I still don't think that's a good experience. They're not a good enough experience for that. But this would keep you in the Plex experience if you wanted to rent or buy some content instead of going out to, say, Apple TV or to Google or wherever you would go for your rentals and video purchases. Josh, would you be interested in purchasing DRM-laden content from a third-party provider like Plex?
Potentially. There would have to be two things that would have to be true for me. The first one is I would have to be someone who's already spending a lot of time in Plex. And I'm using Plex more lately than I had been frequently, over the last couple of years. But it's not like it's not the first app that I open every time I turn on my TV or anything like that. But the other thing that it would need to have is Movies Anywhere support. Because I already do buy DRM'd digital movies and TV shows from third-party providers all the time.
Yep.
It's just Amazon Video or Microsoft or Vudu. Or, it's not like I'm buying it directly from the studio. Like, all of these are third-party purchases, but I'm purchasing them in ways that make them available on lots of other platforms through Movies Anywhere.
Yes. And in most cases, maybe except if you bought them on your PlayStation from Sony, you are expecting that you're buying these from big companies that are going to stay in this business. Right. And so that's my concern about that, is that Plex is a relatively small company. And if I'm buying video that I know I'm not going to be able to watch unless there's some way of authenticating it and allowing me to get to it in the future from their services, I want that to come from a company that I expect will be around and continuing to support said video. And I don't think that necessarily is a specific studio, which is why I wouldn't have made a bet on Sony. I certainly wouldn't be buying stuff from Microsoft. The players are kind of entrenched now. They're Amazon, Google, Apple, maybe a couple of others, and then maybe the actual studio itself. But again, I don't really like the idea of doing it for studios because none of them have stuck with it. Movies Anywhere would be a game changer if they were to adopt that, because that could potentially bring all of your other movies that are all over the place into Plex. That would make Plex so much more useful.
Yeah, but it does lead me to my other question about all of this. So if I'm buying a DRM'd movie and it's now going to show up in my Plex library, if I'm sharing my Plex library with you, are you able to watch it?
Of course not.
I would think not, right? Like that is the that is the correct answer based on the way every other service licenses these things.
Right.
But then does that mean it just doesn't show up in the library? Does it show up in the library but say,
Well,
nope, sorry, you can't watch this? Like, there's
so let's go back to
figure out
how
there.
Plex defines libraries, right? You probably have 3 or 4 different movie libraries that you access because you have a library and you have access to other people's libraries. My bet would be that they will implement this, if they implement it, with Movies Anywhere or even through this rental thing, as its own thing. It will be its own pinned item in your navigation. It won't be integrated with all your other titles, but it will be in search. And that's the important piece for discovery.
For sure. Well, and that is the thing that I like about this, because right now, my app of choice, if I'm wondering where can I watch something, I pull up Plex on my phone and search for it there, because it does a really good job of telling me what services I can watch it. And if it wasn't available free anywhere and I had to pay to rent or purchase it from somewhere, and it tied into Movies Anywhere, then maybe I would just buy it while I've got the Plex app open. Why not?
Yeah, because once it gets federated to the other providers, it doesn't matter where you bought it. You have it everywhere, as long as it's a Movies Anywhere supported title.
Right.
Remember, TV shows or not, that only applies to movies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good call out. But
so
do people buy TV shows?
So I will tell you, I have, if there's a series I want to watch, Courtship of Eddie's Father as an example, and the only way to get it is if I buy it. So I'll buy it from like Amazon or Apple, depending on where it's available.
Is that the situation for like anything that you want to watch other than shows that HBO just decided to take off of their service?
I don't know. But
yeah. All right.
This will be fun to watch. I am curious to see how they roll this out. And your thought of Movies Anywhere, that is, that could make it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, here's hoping, but we'll see. Like this, and the thing is, this isn't even the first time that Plex has announced that they were doing this. They said that they were planning to do this back in 2020. It didn't happen then. And lots of things have happened to Plex since then, including massive layoffs last year. We'll see.